Welcome to America Stands election news coverage in the spirit of faith. Today's Thursday, January the 7th, 2021. I'm Greg Stevens. Thank you for joining us. Also with me is my good friend Gene Bailey. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
What a day. What the past 48 hours have been something, haven't they?
Yes, they have. I think we spent more time on television than we've spent doing anything else.
At home? I got lost last night.
Yeah,
trying to
find your way home, did you?
I want to find my way home. I want to read a scripture to you that Brother Copeland sent to you last night. Isaiah 33, verse 22, King James Version says, "For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, he will save us." That's where Madison took the, if I'm correct, and Krisanne Hall will be with us momentarily on this program, she may correct me, but that's where our framers and our founders took the three branches, co-equal branches of government, and it has guided this nation for a long time, and I believe will continue to do so regardless of what events transpire. All right, also with us today, Tim Fox, you're back where you were yesterday when we began yesterday morning with the Trump rally right there by the Washington Monument. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to you and Gene. In fact, the rally happened just right behind me where we are standing now. It's funny, you guys talking about the last 48 hours. My crew was talking between programs. We were like, were we really just part of what we just saw? I mean, did we see what we really thought we saw? So, I mean, yeah, it's been a whirlwind, but it sure has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. You were right in the middle of it there at the Capitol and everything. Also with us, joining us today from the Capitol, is our correspondent Mike Garofalo. Mike, what's the mood there?
Greg, things are picking up here. The National Guard is on hand. They're right along Independence, behind our camera, if you will, and the level of activity is picking up here. What I'm told is they're securing the perimeter around the Capitol, and it's going to stay that way through the inauguration. Back to you.
Okay, well, that's just a short time away, and so the beefed-up presence certainly is good. So after a day of prayer and unity in Washington, followed by chaos and what we saw, the storming of the Capitol on early Thursday morning, well, I'm going to give you an update of what has happened. Early this morning, Congress voted to accept all of the Electoral College votes. Many senators who previously stated they would object shifted their position after the attack. Vice President Pence reopened the joint session of Congress approximately 9:15 Eastern time last night. And here are some of the Vice President's opening remarks. Watch this.
Violence never wins. Freedom wins. And this is still the people's house. And as we reconvene in this chamber, the world will again witness the resilience and strength of our democracy. For even in the wake of unprecedented violence and vandalism at this Capitol, the elected representatives of the people of the United States have assembled again on the very same day to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So may God bless the lost, the injured, and the heroes forged on this day. May God bless all who serve here and those who protect this place. And may God bless the United States of America. Let's get back to work.
And I agree to that sentiment. We do need to get back to work, all of us. And we can't forget the events that happened yesterday. Our crews were there as it was happening. I want to bring in now Krisanne Hall. She's been on the Flashpoint program. If you haven't seen her, I encourage you to watch Flashpoint and follow her. She's a sought-after national speaker on the Constitution, has traveled the country defending Americans whose rights were violated by unlawful arrest and prosecutions. She's consulted on the Constitution for numerous radio, podcasts, and television programs. Welcome to the program, Krisanne. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much.
What a day. Did you get any sleep?
What our founder said, you know, these are the times that try men's souls, and we're going to find out what we're made of.
Yeah, this is what a day it has been. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so a lot of constitutional things happened yesterday, and some people are upset about the way the count was, and they think it happened in the middle of the night. It wasn't because of the middle of the night. It was because of what happened on the steps there in after the rally, what was a peaceful rally. I know you had friends that were there as well. We had reporters there. And these people were out in the cold for hours and then walked up to the Capitol Hill. What are your thoughts about what we saw yesterday?
I know these people. I don't want to make the bad argument to small numbers, but we had people there. We had friends there, dear friends there. We had acquaintances there. We had people that were sending us pictures and videos all day long, and even yesterday. And the fact of the matter is, you're talking about over 100,000 people assembled for over 2.5 hours on this particular day in the freezing cold, and nothing happened. There were warnings that there were warnings that there were going to be people subversive trying to dress up to look like Trump people to create violence and make a bad name. And I think that the evidence that we've seen, maybe not the evidence that the media will play, and maybe not the evidence that the mainstream media will admit, but the actual real evidence out there is indisputable. And you have to see that these people are not Trump supporters. And these people who started this violence were there to start violence to make our friends, family members, look bad. And that's something that we need to be ready to investigate in the very least.
Yeah, and Krisanne, this is Gene. Yesterday, you shared a post on your Instagram feed from NPR, National Public Radio, and they have that. They'll put that on the screen, and we can see Trump supporters storm U.S. Capitol, clash with the police. But the interesting part of that is at 9:33 a.m. We saw nothing at 9:33 a.m. Is there something we missed? Have they responded to this?
Nobody's ever responded to me. I mean, there's a lot of people with hypothetical questions. Is that a different time zone or whatever? But you'll notice that post says 9:33 a.m. Eastern time. So they actually gave the time zone of the posting along with the time. And then some people said, well, you know what, Krisanne, there was some disruptions in the morning. I said, well, maybe there were disruptions in the morning, but the headline clearly says storms the Capitol. That did not happen at 9:33 a.m. And so my question is, and I'm not one that draws conclusions. What I do is I like to investigate, connect dots, and show people the evidence. Let them do that. I think it goes back to my prosecutor days, And this is something that should bring serious question to people's minds. Also, in light of several facts that we drew to people's attentions last night. Look, you have the second most secure building in America. And there are videos being shown of groups of people storming their way into the Capitol where there is one Capitol police officer. I mean, there was zero security at the Capitol building at this time. Combine that with the NPR headline at 9:33 a.m. Combine that with the fact that we had warning that Antifa and other subversives would be there to pretend to be Trump supporters. And I would say combine that with the fact that the media is completely dismissing to the point of exclusion any of this evidence, so that the people are not able to see and draw their own conclusions. Yeah. See, this is very, very disturbing to me. My husband and I spoke at a huge Open California rally in Sacramento, California several months ago. They knew we were going to be there. The plan was going to be there. And Governor Newsom had no less than several hundred Capitol police surrounding the Capitol building for our rally there at the state Capitol. You can't tell me that given the warning, I mean, even the mayor of D.C. was trying to lock down D.C. and keep people out before it happened. This is very, very highly suspicious that our federal Capitol Police were not there.
Yeah, to say the least. I have Greg, since our last broadcast here earlier this morning, I have an email. I won't read his name. And I'm going to read it to you and get you to weigh in on this. This is referring to the Capitol Police security yesterday. I am a retired Marine Corps. He's Master Sergeant with 22 years of service, Washington, D.C. And he says, your assumption about people getting into the people's house is spot on. There's no way anyone could break a window without the police responding within 60 seconds. And he goes on to say, keep digging, find out someone had to look the other way. The reality of that, in fact, if we've got that video clip, Mary, we can play that, showing how the Capitol Police just kind of got out of the way of what was happening. As soon as you guys have that, we want to play that. There it is. Watch.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just breached the Capitol again.
So at the very last frame there, you see the rest of the protesters just standing there going, what is going on? While the Capitol Police are going, okay, yeah, just coming in. They were not, I don't know if they weren't prepared. I'll give them benefit of the doubt. But this surely isn't people at the Capitol that seems to have just opened the doors and let people walk right through.
You know, I don't know if I'm comfortable drawing real conclusions at this point, but the point of the matter is this deserves serious investigation. As the email said, this is something that the American people should be looking into. Goodness gracious, what if that had been some other group of people? You know, I mean, it was a group of people that were there subversive, but not the Trump supporters. I mean, they were there 2.5 hours, nothing happened. And the American people need to be really concerned about this and really ask questions. I'll draw exception. My husband and I were in the military. We were military intelligence. Your email said that if the window was broken, somebody would be there within 60 seconds. I'm going to tell you somebody would have been there within 6 seconds. That doesn't happen at our Capitol building.
Okay, yeah. we had, Krisanne, we had reporters on the scene. I want to go to Tim Fox real quick. Tim, early in the morning, I know I came to you and our security, you had licensed security with you, not just some guy watching out for you. They were trained security professionals with you. Moved you because they believed that Antifa had compromised the position you were in, and then you went to the Capitol. Tell us what you saw yesterday.
Well, Greg, that's exactly right. I did have some really great security guys with me that are trained. They know what to look for. They know who to look for. They had gotten intel about what to look for in terms of what would Antifa look like. What would they be wearing? What would they be standing? Where those kinds of things. We had found a location for the rally yesterday that was really nice. Over the shoulder, you could see the stage, the White House. It was really good. But just a few minutes before we went on the air, one of my security guys came up to me in secret and said, look, we see some folks standing around us very closely that fit that profile. It would be probably better for us if we moved. So we moved our whole team up the hill a little bit so we could get a little different viewpoint and get away from what was potential problems. Now, as I'm looking back, Greg, and listening to different reports from different people, and I even talked to some people here this morning that were there yesterday, and they said they saw some Antifa-looking folks, and even said they were definitely Antifa. So the pieces are starting to fall into place, for me at least, that's what we saw. We did see Antifa.
Okay, so Tim, after we got you up to the Capitol building, you were there. What was the mood at the start of this? You were there when they all went up. I called it the Rocky Balboa moment, where you ran up the stairs and you do the Rocky thing. And I just saw people waving flags. There was a prayer meeting, I think you reported. There were people singing Christian songs. There wasn't any violence around you until the very end, right?
That's correct. They were loud. The Trump supporters were loud. They were enthusiastic. And once they got up to the top steps of the Capitol building, they were waving their flags. They were chanting USA. But I, with my own eyes, just a few feet away, did not see anything violent from that group. And of course, as you guys know, at some point yesterday afternoon, we had to leave the post that we were at there in the media area because some of the protesters, it wasn't some of the same people that I saw on the steps, had broken through the metal barriers that they had us blocked off from, and thankfully our security team was there, saw that, got us out of there. But you may have seen that video. The guy that came right up behind me, he was wearing black. He had a lot of fatigues and stuff on. He was not a police officer. He was an instigator and an agitator.
Tim, as you're talking, if we could, I want to show that the moment they removed you from that location. And the guy you were talking about, I don't know if you can see return video where you're at. Here it is as they broke through.
I can't, but I know what the video looks like because I saw it. You see the guy in the black fatigues walking up, total black. It even said police on it. He was not a police officer. He was there to agitate. And there was video that was posted yesterday from a different location, a different media pool, where folks just like that broke in. They were knocking over lights. They were breaking cameras. They were doing all kinds of stuff. Now, they didn't do that exactly. Well, actually, I don't know that because I got out of there. So that's what they were doing. They were breaking in and they were destroying the media equipment.
Okay, so Tim, his jacket on his body armor says press on it. It doesn't say police. I want to go to Mike Garofalo.
Yeah.
I want to go to Mike Garofalo. Mike, you've been talking to some people in this same vein. What do you have for us?
Yeah, Greg, this morning I spoke to Pastor Jesse Bailey of the Legacy Family Church in Los Angeles. He and a group came to take part in the rally, listen to the president, and here's what they saw and heard yesterday.
Well, first of all, I just want to say that when we were at the rally, President Trump in no way instigated what happened at the Capitol yesterday. In fact, while he was still speaking and we were listening, we were getting reports that people were trying to break into the Capitol. So it was before the majority of the rally had been released. So we came down and we saw that there were people up on the Capitol steps already. And my friend and I, we actually ran up there to see what was going on, and we're trying to stop people from trying to break in. The vast majority of the hundreds of thousands of people that were there yesterday were peaceful. They were just there to voice their opinion that they didn't trust the election process. And there were a select few that were there that were instigating. It's my personal belief that there were people there that were planted. There was absolutely Antifa there. I saw them with my own eyes, and there were people that were instigating. And then the crowd just kind of rallied behind them and started pushing forward. So it was not the best of sights, but most of the people there were peaceful, and there were people like myself and my friend here who were trying to stop the people from going in.
Now, we also asked the pastor and one of his friends how they're feeling now moving forward with this election.
We just don't believe, and the hundreds of thousands that were out there didn't believe that it went the way it was supposed to go, even with the election process, and even we're not happy about what happened yesterday either. You know, we wanted it to be peaceful completely, and so that our voices could be heard and not be overshadowed by the violence and the nonsense that had transpired.
We're disappointed. We expected a different result, but ultimately, we trust the Lord. It is God's will that is done. And we need to respect that, regardless of the methods that were used in order to obtain this outcome. We need to understand that the Lord is ultimately in control and work towards peace and truth. And we believe wholeheartedly that you cannot have peace at the expense of truth. We need to have truth and then search for peace. So we're going to continue to search and call out for truth, but we will accept whatever the government has done because they are the authorities here. But we're going to do everything in our power as the people in order to make sure that we can trust the election process and things like this don't happen again.
Now, I also spoke to a group of women that came here from Alabama to take part in the rally, and they said everything they saw was peaceful around them, and that it wasn't until some agitators at the very end. Same thing with a man from Georgia. Greg?
Mike, thanks so much. Thanks for that reporting, and good job. You guys stay safe. Thank you for all you've done the last 48 hours as you've been to Georgia and then the nation's capital. Some videos taken of Trump supporters gathered at the west front of the Capitol during the protests yesterday show that they stopped a person who they believed on the ground right there to be an Antifa thug. He was trying to break a window of the Capitol. Watch this clip and listen closely. Now, there's the protesters all stopping a guy trying to break the window, and they're crying out, Antifa. No, that's Antifa. Stop him. And they stop him, and first they're booing him for trying to break the window. Then when a guy with a MAGA hat pulls him off that window and they're all yelling Antifa, the crowd cheers. So as I'm watching this, guys, Krisanne as well, as I watch this, there's a definitely a different story or narrative that's not being portrayed in corporate media. Krisanne?
Well, and that's really something that we should not be surprised at this day. I mean, for how long has the media mantra been, if it bleeds, it leads? And what we need to, as Americans, really grasp and get a hold of intellectually and spiritually is that the media is not there to give us information for our good. The corporate media is there to make money, and they make money from chaos. That's why all the headlines are so insightful today. That's why all the headlines are so misleading today. And that's why you won't get the truth from corporate media, because they feed, their currency is chaos, and they won't let you have a reasonable, rational perspective in all of this. They want the American people to feel like America is in its death throes. They want Americans to believe that we are on the cusp of downfall. They want that because chaos is profit for them, and they work for the enemy. We as the American people must realize this is not the worst that America's ever been through. This is not the first election that has been grievously corrupted. This is not even the worst political trauma that America has been through since the adoption of our Constitution. And I feel like that because we have been so swayed by the corporate media for so long, we've gotten into the habit of letting them rule our emotions, when I'm hoping and pleading that the people will turn off the emotional propaganda of the corporate media and really get their heads wrapped around the fact that the American spirit, our Constitution, is more stable than you are being taught, and that there are very powerful ways for Americans to right now, today, to get their control back of their government. It is not over. It's not even anywhere close to being over, and we can't speak fatalism. My goodness, our words speak reality. We should be speaking victory. We should be speaking truth, and we should be speaking the power of our constitutional republic, not its demise.
Yeah, that's so true. You're speaking of the media, corporate media. I call corporate media.
Yes.
We have social media as well, and for the first time I've ever noticed that they have colluded together. We just have this breaking that Zuckerberg has suspended Trump's Facebook and Twitter accounts indefinitely. It will never be back on again. I call that now socialist media, not social media. Yeah. Let's unpack a couple of things because, Krisanne, we're hearing some stories today about invoking the 25th Amendment. Gene, you were just reading something there.
Absolutely. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer said Vice President Pence should immediately invoke the 25th Amendment and remove President Trump from office, while warning that if he refuses, Congress should impeach the president. What happened in the U.S. Capitol, this is a quote, what happened in the U.S. Capitol yesterday was an insurrection against the United States incited by the president, said Schumer.
So here's the thing. You've got now a Republican from Congress calling for the same thing. So, Krisanne, what is the 25th Amendment? What are we talking about here?
The 25th Amendment has to do with the removal of the president from office. And that happens, or the vacation. I guess a better way of putting that is the vacation of the president's, the office of the president. So something should happen to the president. He should become ill. He should die. He should otherwise be incapacitated. Then it sets up the means by which the vice president becomes the president. It also establishes in the subsequent clauses of the 25th Amendment, means by which the president can be removed from office or declared removed from office. And that would be because of illness. Maybe he would suddenly fall into, a coma or mental incapacity or something like that. It has to come with evidence, by the way, and petition from the vice president There are also other ways in which it can happen through the House and the Senate, but they're really laying the pressure on the vice president to declare through the 25th Amendment that the office should be vacated. Now, what's interesting is I don't see how the president at this point could be removed from office by Vice President Pence through the 25th Amendment, because the criteria for the 25th Amendment has to primarily do with health-related issues and mentally related issues. And they're not going to come up with any evidence that the president is mentally incapacitated or physically incapacitated. Now, of course, the Democrats want to somehow show that, but you would actually have to have a medical investigation, a medical diagnosis to undergo the 25th Amendment. And so the threat to impeach the president is really the only avenue legally, constitutionally, that would hold ground. However, to impeach the president, you also have to have very specific allegations: bribery, treason, high crimes, or misdemeanors. And then they would have to criminally prove that Donald Trump incited the violence and therefore committed a crime or treason. Treason would be aiding and abetting the enemy. Then there was a lot of collusion with an enemy that they would have to then bring in. Impeachment is also, I believe, another red herring that simply cannot be achieved at this point. But they're going to once again engage in this type of political slander to diminish the authority of the president at this time. This is the goal, by the way, to diminish his authority, because remember,
12 days. That's what I was going to ask.
He has 14 days left.
That's what I was going to ask. With only 14 days left, what difference does that make?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. President Trump in 14 days could issue an an unlimited number of executive orders to change. He can change people that are in office. Now, the changes that he can make will be made only in the executive branch, but those can be very huge changes. I mean, take in consideration that just a few days ago that the U.S. attorney in the Georgia district resigned, and that is because of pressure that was put on him by Donald Trump. So there can be major pieces moved within the executive branch and people fired and eliminated politically within their positions in the next, 13 days.
Okay, Krisanne, we got about a minute left and all. So thank you for unpacking that for us and being with us today. And all the things. There's so much stuff that's happening, and we got to keep our faith in God and our faith in the Constitution and going forward. Thank you for being part of this. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, what a week it has been. I want to go real quickly around the horn, 15, 20 seconds here. Mike, Washington, what's the mood?
Well, calm right now, no doubt about it. I will say this, though. After all you've been talking about, it's so disappointing that you cannot look at the mainstream media and listen to them and believe everything they have to say. Things have to change. We can't go forward like that in this country, knowing that we're only hearing half the story, Greg.
Right. Thanks, Mike. Tim, before you head back to Texas, final thoughts of the past 24 hours?
I'll just piggyback on what Mike just said about believing what the press says. We can believe what the Bible says, and we can believe what God says, and He does have something to say. Just go to kcm.org and look up today's Faith to Faith, and you'll see what.
Yeah, you'll see what we mean. All right, I want you to stay tuned to the Victory Channel right here. We'll give you the truth always and let you decide things. Flashpoint tonight. Gene Bailey, you're on. What do you got?
I have Hank Kuhneman, Mari Murillo, Lance Wallnow, and we've just added Kat Kerr.
Well, there you go.
Oh, it's going to be a wild one. You want to make sure you watch tonight.
Will be a wild one on Flashpoint. You won't want to miss that. That's 8 Eastern, 7 Central Time. The only place you're going to find it is right here on Victory. Thank you for your faith and your trust and being with us through all of this and continuing as we go forward. Know this, that God loves you. And what do we say?
Jesus.
We love you. And Jesus is
Lord.
He's still Lord. Amen. We'll see you this afternoon. Bye-bye.